Yo, it's your boy Jay Best and your boy Tyrell. Welcome back to the Straight to the Point podcast, season 3, episode 29. And what better way to start off Wild Card Weekend than with your boys and with our bets and our picks, right? Before we get into any of that, as always, I want to thank God for waking us up this morning, allowing us to talk about sports was something that we love to do. Without him, we would not be here right now. Real, you ready to go?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, God.
All right, so real quick, me and Jerod talked about the coaches' firings last episode on Wednesday, right? But Tyrell wanted to give his input on Antonio Pierce and Jerod Mayo being fired this year. The floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So just wanted to piggyback off what you and Jerry said. The Raiders firing Antonio Pierce was just absolutely crazy. It was absolutely nuts. I think Raiders players are gonna come out and say that they don't want to play there. Like I follow Jack Jones on Instagram. He seemed pretty fired up about the coaching and firing. It sounded like he wanted to get out of Las Vegas. So I think him, Max Crosby, along with some other players, they're gonna want to get out because the owner should know and the GM should know that, hey, our team is not very good. Like they should have went into this year knowing they were going to be tanking.
Yep.
They don't really have any superstar power. They have Max Crosby and they have Brock Bowers to look forward to, but outside of that, what do they really have? You know what I'm saying? Antonio Pierce didn't have much to work with. Going on to Jerod Mayo, I just felt like Robert Kraft put him in the worst situation possible. I don't know what he was expecting to get out of that. Like I don't know what he wanted out of Jerod Mayo that season. I guess he was telling him go make the playoffs. I don't know what he expected from the Patriots roster. This is a roster to me just features Drake May and Christian Gonzalez. Please help me if they feature any other star talent.
Done.
Patriots weren't on any primetime games this year. He literally had nothing to work with. It was just in a small market team who drafted a young quarterback for the first year. It was just crazy to me. Like, what did Robert Kraft expect Jerod Mayo to do? And then you're gonna fire him. You're gonna fire him. Then the next day say it was my fault. Like it just that made no sense, and I was just crazy. Absolutely crazy. But it just shows you the NFL is just a business. They don't care nothing about you.
100%. Definitely. I agree with everything you just said. And like you said, I feel like these owners should know going into the season that we're not ready to win. Like I'm just looking for improvement. I'm looking for growth. We're looking for who should we move on with, right? But to fire them for having losing seasons with nothing, they literally had nothing. And you, me, and Jared knew going into this season that they wasn't fighting for no playoff spot. Both teams. But for the owners to make these moves, it's like they really wanted to compete this year, but you don't have the roster to do it. So if anybody should be fired, if you're mad at anybody, it should be the GM. Right, the GM should be the one get fired, not the head coach. Because the GM is the one that put the team together. Today they just fired the Raiders GM, so they're doing a full rebuild. But to me, Antonio Pierce not deserve to be fired. And like you said, and like I said the other day, Max Crosby wanted Antonio Pierce to be the head coach last year, and they did it because Max Crosby probably was going to leave if they didn't do it. But what he going to do now? Right, when you do a rebuild, you want to at least have a couple of stars on the team. But Max Crosby probably out the door. So, and you want to rebuild, you about to get it because you're about to trade Max Crosby somewhere, and it's just a big mess. Like you said, it's a business. That's all it is, a business. And I feel like head coaches should get at least 2 years to show me improvement, show me growth. Right? Both teams was 4-13 this year. Next year, you gotta have at least 6 wins. If you don't have at least 6 wins, then cool. Maybe I can, make a move like this. But after the first year, it's just crazy to me. All right. But let's go ahead. Let's move on to what we came here for, and that's the wild card weekend bets. Are we doing bets all year? They've been up, they've been down, but hey, it's prime time. Time to put up or shut up. So me and Tyrell go hook y'all up with some cash. All right, go ahead, bro. Who you got first?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm gonna start off with the second game of the weekend. George Pickens to go over 55.5 receiving yards. This is a big game. Everybody knows Baltimore has a really good defense, and the Pittsburgh offense haven't looked too good in the past couple weeks. I think they're gonna look to George Pickens to make as many plays as he can. It's gonna be one of those games where George Pickens is gonna be like, "Hey, give me that ball. I need it." He's gonna go make a play. So 60 yards, he could cover that on the first play. Go ahead and smash that.
Yeah, and not only that, but last week him having one catch for 0 yards, he dropped like 3 balls. Right, I can't see him playing worse than that. And like you said, all it takes is one big catch for him to get the yard. So I like that bet a lot. First off, I'm going with Puka Nakua over 88.5 receiving yards. All right. This is his first game back. Well, no. He played the Vikings the first time this year. It was his first game back from injury. So remember, he played the first game against the Lions, got hurt, and he was out for a couple of weeks. Then he came back. His first game back was against the Vikings. And he had 7 catches for 106 yards. All right. Last year in the wild card round, as a rookie, he had 9 catches for 181 yards as a rookie. Right, he's a second-year guy, and Sean McVay wants to get him the ball. And the Vikings also allowed the fourth most passing yards this season, which means passing yards turn to receiving yards. Right, quarterback got to pass it to somebody, and I think Puka's going to eat against a shaky Minnesota Vikings secondary. All right, who you got next?
Yes, sir. So going on the next, I'm going to the first game of the weekend. CJ Stroud going against the Chargers. I got him throwing less than one interception. CJ Stroud, I know he's had a down year this year, but CJ Stroud is that guy. And I think a lot of people forgot about that. He's that guy, and he's playing in Houston. He doesn't really make mistakes when he's playing. I think in order for them to win this game, he knows he can't turn the ball over. The turnover margin is that close in the playoffs. So he knows what he has to do, and he won't throw an interception. So go ahead, smash that under.
Yep, I like that one too. All right, next I'm going Mike Evans over 5.5 receptions. These numbers are from week 10 to now. All right, and this is against the Commander secondary. So these are all the teams against the Commander secondary. Mind you, I'm gonna leave out the Saints, right? Because y'all was hurt. Chris Olave wasn't even there, so y'all didn't have a number one receiver. All right, the Titans, so they're not a good team. And then the Cowboys, the last week of the season, did not have CD Lamb. But the rest of these teams had that number one receiver, and they went against the Commanders. And Drake London had 7 catches. AJ Brown had 8 catches. CD Lamb had 10 catches. AJ Brown had 5 catches. George Pickens had 5 catches. So what I'm saying is, at least he's going to at least have 5 receptions because they give up a lot of catches to number one receivers. So I think that Baker Mayfield's going to get the ball to Mike Evans. And really, Mike Evans is the really only big playmaker they have on their offense. I know Jalen McMillan's coming along, right? You still got Cade Otton, you got Rashad White, you got Bucky Irvin. But if you want to win playoff games, you got to get the ball to Mike Evans, who's your best player. So over 5.5 receptions, I think he should easily cover this. Once again, going against a weak secondary in Washington. All right, who you got next?
Yes, sir. So next I have Baker Mayfield going over 19 and a half rushing yards. It's playoff time, and everybody knows Baker Mayfield. If it ain't one thing, it's another. It's gonna be a tight game. Jaden Daniels gonna be running all over the Bucks. I feel like Baker Mayfield is gonna be put in a position to where he has to go make plays with his legs. I feel like it's gonna be that type of game. And whenever it comes to playoff games, Baker Mayfield, he's just on the run. He's ready to go make a play. So go ahead, smash 20 rushing yards for Baker Mayfield. He should get about 50 and a touchdown the way he plays in the playoff game.
I got you. All right. Next up, I got Lad McConkey over 74.5 receiving yards. Look, Lad to me is going to be the next Cooper Cup. He just is. That's how nice he is. And I didn't see this coming. Right, coming out of Georgia, I did not see him being this really good receiver, but he is. I mean, the last 7 games of this season, he's had at least 6 targets, which means that he's getting fed the ball. They're going to give him the ball. They're going to include him in the offense. And he's hit 74.5 receiving yards in every single game over the last 7 weeks, but one. Only one game he didn't hit. So I like my chance of him going 74.5 against the Texans team. And mind you, the Texans offensively, they don't have Tank Bill, right? They don't have Stephon Diggs. So I don't think they can move the ball a lot, which means the Chargers will have the ball a lot. So I think Lad can get a lot of opportunities. I think he'll go ahead and get that 74.5 receiving yards. All right, who you got next?
Yes, sir. And I also feel like Lad McConkey is the only receiving target they've had in the past couple of
Yep.
weeks.
Yep.
You're right about that. Next, I got Josh Jacobs scoring a touchdown against the Philadelphia Eagles. So Jordan Love, he got hurt last week. He hurt his arm,
Yeah.
and everybody knows how that goes. He said in the interview earlier this week that it's still a little bit numb, that he's regaining feeling though. I feel like the Packers will adjust to this and they will game plan accordingly. I think Josh Jacobs is gonna have a big game, a really big game against this Philadelphia Eagles team, and it's gonna be cold in Philly. You know what it calls for in playoff games when it's cold outside, man. You got to
Yep.
run that ball. You
Got
gotta
to.
you gotta be more physical than the other team. So I think Josh Jacobs, he got to have a big game. And on top of that, the past 5 weeks, Josh Jacobs has smashed this line. So go ahead and smash the over. Josh Jacobs will be scoring a touchdown.
All right. I like it. I had to make a little pivot, okay, because I did forget about Jordan Love's injury. So I had wanted to do it over passing attempts. I believe the Eagles will have the lead. They got to play from behind. But since you said that, I'm actually going to pivot over to Josh Jacobs' 17 rushing attempts. All right. I forgot about the injury. I think that over the past, really over the second half of the season, Jordan Love hasn't been throwing the ball a lot. They've been really giving the ball to Josh Jacobs, leaning on that run game. So in this game, with Jordan Love's injury, right, you want to keep the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands, keep the ball out of that offense hands. I feel like you should be running the ball a lot, right? To try to control the clock. That's your best way of winning. I don't think you can win in a shootout with the Eagles. You just can't. The Eagles have too much. We kind of saw that the first week of the season when they played each other. The Eagles just have too much offensive firepower. So you got to play keep away, run the ball a lot, try to manage the clock. I think Matt LaFleur knows that. And also with Jordan Love's injury, I think that he has no choice but to lean in the run game. So Josh Jacobs over 17 rush attempts. I think he should definitely smash that in a big game against the Eagles. Not saying he's going to get a lot of yards out of it, but they should try to control the clock. I think he'll definitely get 17 rush attempts. Tyrell, you got one last one?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My last bet is the Ravens money line over the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend. Just like Jalen said, if Pittsburgh loses Week 18, 4 games in a row,
Yeah.
he doesn't care who they play. They're going into the playoffs and they're losing. So I know that Lamar Jackson's gonna be a Super Bowl contender this year. In order for him to be a Super Bowl contender, he can't lose in the first round of the playoffs. It just can't happen at home. Even though Zay Flowers isn't playing, I got Baltimore winning this game by a landslide. I feel like Pittsburgh just broke down. And shout out to Mike Tomlin and everything. I love Mike Tomlin, but I don't know what happens with Pittsburgh at the end of the season and their meltdowns, but it has to be studied. But go ahead, smash the Ravens money line.
I respect. I told you last week, right? I said if we lose four straight, there's no way that you can have enough confidence to put any kind of money on Pittsburgh. So I don't blame you at all. My lock of the week, I believe, is going to be the Rams money line versus the Vikings. Okay, I've been screaming to the mountaintops about Sam Darnold falling apart. Eventually, it's going to happen. I kept saying it, and it hasn't happened yet. But in Week 18, we saw a glimpse of it. I think that was Sam Darnold's biggest game of his career against the Lions fighting for the number one seed. And he completely wet the bed. Yes, I'm gonna give the Lions secondary credit, but Sam Darnold, bro, yeah, it didn't look good. Okay, so I think that it's going to repeat this weekend, going against the second best quarterback head coach duo in all of football, and Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. I think Sam Darnold's going to wet the bed, and also I think that the Rams' offense is just too good for any defense. All right, especially a Vikings defense. So I told you the secondary is a little shaky. So I'm going to bet my money on Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, really almost against anybody, except for maybe the Eagles. If they go against anybody else, I am confident the Rams can get the job done. Home game. It's not really a home game because remember they had to move it to Arizona because of the wildfires in California. But I still believe that I'm taking Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford over Kevin O'Connell and Sam Darnold. So y'all go ahead and y'all lock in the Rams money line for this upcoming weekend. All right. Let's go ahead. Let's move on to our wild card weekend picks. All right, this is what you all been waiting for, right? 18 weeks, 18 NFL weeks is leading to this moment. Throughout the 18 weeks, we have narrowed it down to 14 teams that are going to fight for it all, and it all begins on Saturday, tomorrow, with the Chargers and the Texans. Real, who you got?
Yes, sir. I feel like this is gonna be the toughest game of the weekend because it features two really good head coaches and it features two really good defenses. But I'm gonna go with the better quarterback in my opinion, and I feel like that's CJ Stroud. Like I was mentioning earlier, CJ knows what type of game he's coming in and he's playing. He knows what he knows the turnover margin is this small, and he knows in order to win this game, he can't turn the ball over. I wasn't too big on CJ Stroud until I seen him beat Joe Flacco last year in the wild card round in Houston.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very confident CJ Stroud gets to win in Houston again against uh, a Chargers team that's been hot, but there's definitely showed on film that they're beatable.
Yeah, I think this is a tough game, and I don't mind either option, right? But I'm gonna lean towards the Chargers. That's only because the Texans this year, we thought they was gonna be a big threat in the AFC because of the addition of Stephon Diggs, right? And them getting Tank Dell back from injury last year. Well, going into the playoffs, you don't have Tank Dell and you don't have Stephon Diggs. So to me, I feel like they don't have enough firepower offensively. And you're right, D'Amico Ryan's a great head coach. C.J. Stroud's a great quarterback. But this year, CJ Stroud to me has taken a step back from the rookie year, or at least taking a step back from what we thought he was going to be this year. Right. So no shade to CJ, but I think that going against Jim Harbaugh and this Chargers team, they're not going to lose the game. I don't think they're going to lose it. The Texans have to beat them. And to me, the Texans don't have enough offensively to beat a Chargers team who I think offensively they can run the ball really well. And then Lad McConkey, he lines up everywhere. This is not a guy just lines up on the outside. He lines up in the slot, he lines up on the outside, he lines up wherever they need him to, and he's going to go to work. And Justin Herbert also taking care of the ball. I'm leaning towards the Chargers, but I don't mind anybody that picks the Texans, but I'm going with the Chargers. All right. Then Saturday night, we got a big division rival matchup between the Steelers and the Ravens. You already said you're picking the Ravens, but tell us more of why so you're picking the Ravens.
Yes, sir. Like I said earlier, Steelers lost 4 straight. Mike Tomlin, he's in the season meltdowns need to be studied. But also, I just feel like Lamar Jackson is winning it all this year. I think he knows what's at stake. He knows what he has to do. It's a really big game. I don't know why the line's minus 500. Like, they have the Ravens as heavy, heavy, heavy favorites. I don't know why it's like that because Mike Tomlin, he Lamar Jackson has only beaten Mike Tomlin 2 times in his career.
Yep.
So I don't understand that, but I think the Ravens they have the better team. They're the better coach. I'm confident in saying they're the better quarterback. They're the better defense. And once again, TJ Watt hasn't been anywhere the past 4 weeks either.
Yep.
I got the Ravens winning this by a landslide.
That is all true. And if you're putting money on this game, put money on the Ravens. I am not advising you put money on the Steelers. Please do not listen to me for the next couple minutes. Put money on the Ravens. I wouldn't even bet on the Steelers. But I'm entertaining this for a second. All right. Once again, money on the line, pick the Ravens. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna be a true fan that I am. And I'm gonna tell you why the Steelers can win this game. There's 3 reasons why. Number one, it's a big divisional matchup, right? They played this team twice this year. They beat them once, they lost to them once. So Mike Tomlin, they can look at the film and they can say, okay, this is what we did right the first time. This is what we did wrong the second time. So it's a lot of film. It's not a brand new opponent. It's not a new matchup. These are guys that you know very well. It's gonna come down to what happens on the field. Secondly, the Steelers have Lamar Jackson number. I know Lamar beat him this year. I know that. But like you said, he only beat Mike Tomlin twice. So it's kind of like if Shaq was playing in the league today, and we know he can't shoot free throws, right? But he go to the line and he shoot 2 straight free throws. Are we gonna say that he's done with his free throw problems? No, we gonna say he gotta do it consistently. He gotta continue to do it for us to say that he's done with those problems. Same with Lamar. Lamar beat us, but I gotta see it more for me to say the Steelers don't have his number. And then third, Mike Tomlin versus John Harbaugh. Mike Tomlin gets the best of John Harbaugh every single time, right? And John Harbaugh is a good coach. I'm not saying he's not a coach at all, but when Mike Tomlin's on that other side, John Harbaugh gets a little antsy. You can see it, right? You can see he left throw the ball a lot more than he needs to run it. When you know y'all should be running the ball with Derrick Henry. We saw that in the very first game. So I think that for those 3 reasons, the Steelers can win this game. And I think that people are too confident in the Ravens. But like I said, don't put no money on the Steelers. Do not do it because they might very well go out here and win. They lose. They lost 4 straight games, and there's no momentum. But I do believe that this game will be closer than a lot of you think, and I think the Steelers can win this game. So my official pick is the Steelers, but do not put money on the Steelers. You see what I'm saying? You feel me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I feel exactly what you're
So,
saying.
so last week, what I said about them losing 4 straight, I am backing that up 100%. That's why I'm saying don't put money on them. But I'm gonna just go ahead and lean with my dog. Is that right?
Steelers spread should be a lock though, huh?
Because of what I'm saying, yes. I think I would love to spread it for sure. I don't think it'll get blown out. I don't see that happening. All right, but put money on the Ravens for sure. All right. Then on Sunday, 12 o'clock, we got the Broncos and the Bills. A team that should not be here in the Broncos going against a Super Bowl contender, in my opinion, with the Bills. Who you got?
I'm gonna pick the underdog. You gotta pick the underdog. I
Really?
feel like I'm gonna pick a huge underdog this week. I got the Denver Broncos walking into Buffalo and beating them, and this is why I say
Whoa. Okay, go ahead.
I know it's gonna be really cold in Buffalo. It's gonna be snowing, but it snows just like it does in Buffalo and Denver. So
Mhm.
those playing conditions, them field conditions, don't mean nothing. I know Sean Payton as a coach. He's gonna have an excellent game plan for this Bills defense. He's gonna study every single player on this Bills defense and determine where their weaknesses, and he's gonna attack them at all game. I think the Broncos got a really good defense. I don't. I know you've been watching this defense. They got a
Yes,
really good defense,
yes, really good.
especially when it comes to the run. And then they have a shutdown corner in Patrick Surtain. This game could go either way. I don't know why it's such a heavy favorite towards Buffalo's way, but Denver could definitely get Buffalo out of their first round, and you can't be scared to pick upsets. I got Denver winning this game.
Wow,
That defense is scary.
I'm shocked. We both like the Broncos because they have a really good head coach, and we think Bo Nix is solid, really good. But I am actually shocked that you picked the Broncos. But I'm gonna go with the Bills, and like you said, the Broncos have a great head coach in Sean Payton. I'm not taking that away. But this is Bo Nix's first playoff game. I don't feel comfortable picking a rookie to go on the road in their very first playoff game to win. I just don't feel comfortable doing it. Like I see everything you said is valid, but I just don't believe that a rookie can do it. Y'all gonna see why whenever we pick the Commanders and Bucks game. Spoiler alert. You should know how I'm going with. I just don't feel comfortable picking a rookie, especially a rookie that we didn't think would be here. Like it's different if Bo Nix got drafted to the Eagles, right? Then we're expecting them to still get to the playoffs and still make some noise. But he got drafted to the Broncos, who we thought was going to be kind of a rebuild year, right? But they overexceeded expectations. They got to the playoffs. I just I can't see him going to Buffalo. It would be cool to see, right? But I can't see Bo Nix going to Buffalo and getting the job done. But I don't think it'll be a blowout either. All right. At 3:30, we got the Packers and the Eagles on Sunday. Who you got?
Yeah, so I got the Eagles winning this game. The Eagles they're a really, really good team. And they've been a good team since week 3.
Yeah.
They could run the ball, they could throw the ball, they could beat you on defense. Their special teams is really good. They're just all around really good. And like we talked about earlier, Jordan Love suffered an injury last week. An injury I feel like wasn't necessary. He should have been sitting, but he messed up his elbow, and I just don't know how ready that elbow will be. I was watching his interview earlier today, and it just seemed like he wasn't too confident in everything he was saying. So I
Yeah.
definitely got the Eagles winning. Jalen Hurts should be back. That offense should be back clicking, and that defense has been hot, man. That defense been hot. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with everything you just said, man. The Eagles, to me, the Packers, when I did my playoff tiers, I put them in the scary teams tier, right? And if they was playing anybody else, I would have confidence in them pulling off an upset. If they was playing anybody else, but because they're playing the Eagles, who I think is just kind of head and shoulders above almost everyone except the Lions, and the only team that I think could give them a run for their money is the Rams. I don't see the Packers competing in this one. I just don't. I think the Eagles are just a better team, right? They got the better. They don't have the better head coach, right? I'm gonna put Matt LaFleur over Nick Sirianni, but they got the better quarterback. They got the better weapons. They got the better running back. They got the better defense. They pretty much sweep them in every category outside of the head coach. So I think, especially at home, Philly definitely gonna get the job done. And I think that the Packers are gonna focus on shutting down Saquon when you really can't do that because they got AJ Brown, they got Devontae Smith. It's just too much, right? So I think the Eagles are going to win this game for sure at home on Sunday. All right, and
then
then the last
Christian Watson got hurt. He got hurt too.
Christian Watson got hurt too.
He out for the season now.
Yeah, that's definitely yeah. There's money to be made there. Now I wouldn't bet the spread because you just don't know how these games will go, but I would definitely bet on the Eagles to win this game. All right, then at 7 o'clock we got the Commanders and the Bucks. Who you got?
I'm gonna go the opposite of what you said. Jaden Daniels is gonna go into Tampa and win this game. I
Okay.
know how you feel about rookies. I just feel like this guy, he's way ahead of his class when it comes to rookies, just because of how many big time games he's played in
Yeah.
his whole career. He's nothing to the spotlight. So I think he'll have a really big game. I think the Buccaneers got the best of him earlier in week 2, and it was a blowout game. It was like
Yeah.
37-20. You know what I'm
Early in the
saying?
season. Yeah. Yeah.
So whenever Tampa's going back and they're looking at the film, they're like, oh shoot, they're not really game planning too much more because they're like, let's just do this again. But the the Commanders, they're going back to the week 2 film and they're like, we did this wrong, we did this wrong, we did this wrong, we can't do this, we can't do this. They're making a lot more adjustments than Tampa is. So I got them winning this game. I think Cliff Kingsbury, he's trying to get a head coaching job back. So I
Yeah.
think in order for him to get that head coaching job, he has to put it on an offensive masterclass with Jaden Daniels. make this offense look really good, make them be in rhythm, and Dan Quinn gotta have that defense rolling. I'm picking the upset. I got the Commanders winning.
Man, look, like I said, I respect it, and I'm just shocked. Tyrell hasn't gone and picked two rookies to win their very first playoff games, and I can't. Any it don't matter who it is, right? It could be Jay Man. Even last year, I picked the Browns to win because I think the playoffs is a whole different ball game, right? And CJ Stroud proved me wrong. Don't get it twisted, he proved me wrong, but I'm gonna go with the Bucks at home. This Commanders team, once again, Dan Quinn and Sean Payton need to be the leading two candidates for Coach of the Year, hands down. I think it should be one of those two because both of these teams, nobody saw them being here, nobody saw them getting to the playoffs. But I'm going with the Bucks only because of the experience. Right, the Bucks in the playoffs last year, they beat the Eagles first round. They had the upset, even though it was at home. The Eagles was on the road. It was still an upset. They beat the Eagles. Todd Bowles has that playoff experience. And Todd Bowles is also a good defensive mind. And I believe that he can slow down and minimize Jaden Daniels' legs to an extent. All right, you're going to beat us through the air. And Jaden Daniels can do that. But he's way more scary when he's running the ball. Right. So I think that I'm taking Todd Bowles and his head coaching matchup. And I will also take Baker only because it's a playoff game. And Baker has won a playoff game before. He's been in the playoffs before. I just think it's a different atmosphere. And I'm going to take the Bucks over the Commanders. All right. And then the wrap up wild card weekend, we got a big one it was in LA. Now it's gonna be in Arizona between the Rams and the Vikings. Where who you got?
Yes, sir. So I got the Rams winning this game. Just like you said, that's a tough offense to stop.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with the better coach. Also, I feel like Kevin McConnell's a really good coach, but Sean McVay he's had Super Bowl experience. He's had deep playoff experience. Matthew Stafford has now had deep playoff experience. Cooper Cup is he's still a really good guy that could go get it. Kyron Williams is a guy. You know what I'm saying? Puka Nacua, I feel like is right there with Justin Jefferson as one of the best receivers in the league. So I think that it's going to be a really hard offense to stop. And like you said earlier, Sam Darnold, he pissed the bed last week. I mean, he didn't do nothing against the Lions defense that had everybody hurt. Like
Yeah.
literally everybody hurt. He literally didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
The big, as you said, one of the biggest games of his career, he literally didn't do nothing. I think that game showed him up, and I got the Rams winning this game for surely.
Yeah. And like you just hit every nail on the head. With Sam Darnold, I didn't expect him to win that game last week. Right, I picked the Lions to win. But I didn't expect Sam to look that bad. Like I thought it was gonna be a shootout almost, right? Like you said, the Lions defense is hurt. But he went 18 for 41. Threw the ball 41 times, only completed 18 times, and threw 166 passing yards. Um, like I said, I just there's no confidence there. But no matter who it was, I was going with the Rams first round anyways. You know how I feel about Sean McVay. You know how I feel about Matthew Stafford. I'm not even a Rams fan, but when I watch the Rams play, it's a confidence I have seeing Sean McVay on the sideline, right? You know he in the defensive meetings helping the defensive coaches out because he know everything. He's a guru, right? He really knows. And like you said, Kevin O'Connell's a good head coach, and Kevin O'Connell came from Sean McVay. Remember, he was the quarterback coach in LA before he got the head coaching job in Minnesota. So he brought up the Sean McVay coaching tree. But this game to me, it's not the Vikings are favorite, and I don't think they should be. Because you look at one side, you got Sam Darnold, who hasn't been in the playoffs before. And then on the other side, you got Matthew Stafford, who's been there, done that, got him a ring. Right. So I don't think it's that hard of a choice to pick the Rams. And the Rams defense, there's question marks there. But as I said a couple weeks ago, when they played the Bills, remember that big shootout game, all they got to do is make one play. The Rams special teams or the Rams defense got to make one play, strip sack, interception, a tip, anything, and they're good to go. Like you said, offensively, you just talked about Cooper Cup, right? Former Triple Crown winner. He's a second option, bro. Really, he's a third option because you know Sean McVay like to run the ball.
Yes, sir.
So, so Puka's number one, Kyron number two, Cooper Cup is number three. That's what you got to deal with this offense. And Matthew Stafford is very consistent, very accurate. I'm going with the Rams, and I think it is a no-brainer that they'll win this game at home versus the Minnesota Vikings.
Can I ask you a quick question, right quick, sir?
What's up?
So, what happened to the Rams last year in Wild Card Weekend? Since you're so confident in them, I'm
They
confident too. I'm just asking.
they lost to the Lions, and I believe it was a shootout. I want to say it was a shootout between the Rams and the Lions in the playoffs last year. And also that Lions defense, even though they had Aaron Donald, they couldn't make any stops last year. But you're right. That was and they was also on the road in Detroit. Um, I'm trying to pull up the actual game last year. Last year they lost 23-24 in
Mm.
the playoffs. Yeah, that was a close one. That was a close one. But yeah, I think, and I also think that Lions team is better than this Vikings team. And not only that, but Jared Goff. Like I said, the playoff experience, right? He got that playoff experience. Sam Darnold don't. And if you had to tell me to pick between two, I think it's a no-brainer to pick Jared Goff. But yeah, that's what happened last year. Um, but like I said, I really like them a lot going up against the Vikings. And you like them too. That's why you picked
Yeah,
them.
I like him a lot. I like him a lot. I
Yeah,
I I, I was just going back as you said. You would have picked the Rams if they would have won against anybody except the Eagles or the
yeah,
Lions. So I was just wondering what
yeah.
made you so. But yeah,
Yeah, and I'm 100% confident. And I'm so confident. I'm telling you right now, after they win on Monday, no matter who they play next week, I'm picking them again. That's how confident I am in the Rams. Like I said, not the Eagles. I'm way more scared of the Eagles than I am of the Lions. That's just me, and that's because of the quarterback position with Jalen Hurts and Jared Goff, and then not only that, but the defense. Like you said, Lions defense is hurt. The Eagles defense is not. So if the Rams play the Lions next week, I'm taking the Rams, and that could happen because the Rams are the fourth seed, right? So if the Eagles take care of business, and if the Bucks take care of business, then it's gonna be Lions versus Rams in Detroit, and I'm taking the Rams all day.
okay.
All right, it's gonna happen next week. When we had this episode next week, we're gonna be talking about Rams versus Lions.
Yes, sir.
If everything fall the way it's supposed to be, you said the Commanders gonna win. So if the Commanders win, it won't happen. They'll play the Eagles, and I'm not gonna take the Rams over the Eagles. But I want to see Rams versus Lions again. And even in the first week this year, you remember they had that very close game, right? Extremely close, and Puka
Oh,
got hurt that game
okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
in week one. Yeah, so I think that they definitely can pull off the upset next week in Detroit if that happens. Let me see what the score was real quick to week one, and then we're gonna get up out of here. Week one, they ended up losing in overtime, 20-26,
Mm-hmm.
without proof. Right. So I think that they can definitely get the upset. All right. But that is it for today's episode, man. The playoffs are here, y'all. So look, I don't know what y'all gonna be doing this weekend, but I'm gonna be on my couch, popcorn in my hand, watching every single game from start to finish because it is that time of the year. All right. But that is it from your boy J Best and your boy Rail. We out. Much love. Enjoy Wild Card Weekend. We'll see y'all next week. We out.